The napkins are cream. The centerpieces are eucalyptus and rose. The playlist is soft jazz, curated, approved, triple-checked. Everything looks perfect. And then she walks in. Late. Alone. Dressed simple, dark green dress, low heels, hair pulled back in a silver twist. She doesn't rush. Doesn't fidget. Just steps into the space like she's been here before. No one greets her. The coordinator glances her way, then looks past. A waiter gestures toward the back without asking who she is. She nods, walks to a corner seat, and places her bag on her lap. She's not confused. She knows where she is. She's the groom's mother. But no one's introduced her. No one's saved her a seat near the front. No one's offered her champagne. People assume things about age, about skin, about silence. She lets them. The bride's family is loud with politeness. Kisses on cheeks. Laughter that skips a beat when she walks by. They compliment her earrings, but not her presence. She nods, says thank you. Doesn't explain herself. Her son is marrying into this, into a world where people smile while erasing you. She doesn't interrupt, but she's watching. When the officiant announces the start of speeches, her name is not called. The bride's father speaks. The best friend speaks. The sister cries. The microphone stays on the table. No one moves to pass it to her. No one asks if she has anything to say. So she stands, calm, certain, uninvited, and the whole room turns. Not because they expected her to speak, but because they forgot she was even there. Like if you've ever felt invisible at someone else's celebration. Comment if silence ever spoke louder than the guest list. Share this with someone who's been erased and stood anyway. Her name is Gloria. No one asks, but that's her name. She lives in a small brownstone on the south side. Third unit from the end. Not fancy, not falling apart, just lived in, loved in. Every morning, she wakes at 6:12. Not because of an alarm, just habit. She makes her coffee the same way she has since 1987. Strong, no sugar, one splash of almond milk. She sits by the window. Doesn't check her phone. Doesn't scroll. She watches the street wake up, buses groaning past, kids walking to school with half-zipped backpacks, a jogger with a limp, a dog who always stops to sniff the same spot on the fence. She doesn't wave, but she sees them. She remembers when this block was louder, Messier, more hers. Now the neighbors smile too quickly, park new cars too close, call the city when music gets past 9. Still she stays, not because she's stubborn, but because she knows what it means to belong in silence. Gloria keeps her house like a prayer, clean but never cold. Every corner holds something real. A photo of her husband in his service uniform, gone since '99. A cross stitched into cloth, slightly frayed at the edges. A worn copy of Their Eyes Were Watching God, spine cracked but pages still good. And in the hallway, there's a shadow box frame with her son's college diploma, first in the family, hung beside a tiny drawing he made in 2nd grade. Stick figures, a crooked sun, 3 words written big, me and mama. She speaks slowly, never repeats herself. The ladies at church say she's quiet, but firm. The cashiers at the market know she doesn't like plastic bags. The pharmacist knows she double-checks every label before leaving. Gloria doesn't rush anything, because she knows the world has already decided she doesn't need to be heard. So she makes her presence heavy in the things she chooses. When her son, Isaiah, brought home Amanda for the first time, Gloria didn't blink. The girl was polite, smart, wore flat shoes, looked her in the eye. Gloria made sweet tea, asked what Amanda's mother did for work. Amanda hesitated. She's a designer, mostly interiors. Gloria nodded. She designed her own house. Amanda laughed politely, didn't answer the question. Over the next 2 years, Amanda came often. She smiled brightly, hugged lightly, but never stayed long enough to help clean the dishes. Never asked Gloria about her past, her name, her life before being Isaiah's mother. They called it blending families. But some things don't blend. They sit in the bottom of the glass, waiting. The wedding planning was polite. Amanda's mother took the lead. The venue was across town, white walls, crystal lights, No fried food allowed. Everything was timeless. Everything was classic. Everything was hers. Gloria didn't argue. She picked a dress. Sent the check for the suit rental. She RSVP'd on time. She asked only one thing. Will there be a seat for me in the front row? Amanda smiled. Of course. She didn't say which front row. The week before the wedding, Gloria got her hair done. Not too fancy, just enough. She polished her shoes. Laid her dress on the bed. Checked the card she'd written for her son. Folded once. Name written in ink. I see you. And I see who you still are beneath all this. Love, Mama. She didn't plan to give a speech. Didn't expect one either. But she pressed her blouse, just in case. Because some moments ask for your voice, whether they schedule it or not. The morning of the wedding, she arrived early. The valet looked confused. Deliveries go around back. She didn't answer. Just handed over the keys and walked in. Inside, she was met with clipped smiles. A coordinator asked if she had a vendor badge. Someone handed her a program, but didn't say hello. She sat down quietly. Second row near the aisle. Not where the bride's family was gathered, but not the back either. She watched the guests file in. Watched Amanda's father shake hands like it was a fundraiser. Watched her mother give hugs that barely touched the shoulders. Watched the photographer's angle around her, always skipping past the brown dress. When Isaiah entered, eyes wide and calm in his suit, he looked for her. Their eyes met. He nodded, barely, just enough. She smiled. Not big, just full. He hadn't forgotten, but the room had. No one said her name. No one offered her the mic. No one saved her a seat by the head table. She wasn't surprised. She was ready, because Gloria had built her whole life on knowing what it means to show up for people who won't show up for you. So when the toasts began, when Amanda's mother read a poem, and her sister cried through a slideshow, Gloria sat still, until the microphone was set down, unattended, and she stood. No announcement, no anger, just the weight of a woman who has never needed permission to love out loud. The ceremony is over. The music swells. The couple kisses. Cameras click. People cheer. Gloria claps once. Quietly. She doesn't stand. Not because she's bitter, but because she knows the difference between a moment that belongs to joy and one that's only borrowing it. The guests are guided toward the reception hall. Tall glass doors open into a room of white linen, pale gold chairs, and name cards printed in looping script. A string quartet plays Coldplay, slowly. No one recognizes it, but they all pretend to. Waiters in black walk in rhythm. Champagne flows like it was rehearsed. Gloria follows the crowd. Not trailing, just moving at her pace. When she reaches the seating chart, she scans calmly. No name on the head table. Not on either side. She traces down. Then, near the bottom corner, a small card. Ms. Gloria Carter, table 14. She nods. Doesn't react. Doesn't sigh. Doesn't even blink. Just walks toward her assigned seat, near the back, half behind a pillar, next to a family friend of the bride and someone's date who forgot to wear a tie. The woman beside her smiles tightly. You must be catering. Gloria turns slowly. No, I'm the groom's mother. The woman's face shifts, a flicker of confusion, then polite panic. Oh, sorry. I just assumed. You did. No anger. Just acknowledgement. Gloria turns back to her table. Logan, the lead server, approaches. He's mid-30s. Polished. Polite in the way some people are trained to be. He sets a salad down in front of Gloria. Vegan option. No. Regular. Oh, sorry. I thought never mind. He tries to take the plate back. She stops him with a glance. I said regular. He nods, stiff. Walks off without eye contact. At the head table, Amanda's mother is already halfway through her rows. She leans over to her husband. Did we ever ask what the mother of the groom wanted for the floral colors? I don't think so. Well, she didn't seem particular. Gloria isn't close enough to hear the words, but she sees the glance. The kind where people don't look at you. They look through you. Like a coat rack. Like a placeholder. She picks up her fork. Begins to eat. 10 minutes later, a photographer walks the room. snapping candids. He stops by Gloria's table, hesitates. Mind if I? She looks up. Go ahead. He lifts the camera, then pauses. Could I maybe get you to move closer to the window? The light's a little better. You didn't ask anyone else to move. Well, it's just for consistency. I'll stay here. He nods quickly, clicks the shutter once, walks away. The woman beside Gloria, now very aware of who she's sitting next to, sips her wine faster. The mic is passed around again. First, the maid of honor, nervous, charming, full of inside jokes. Then the best man, loud, nostalgic, says bro 7 times. They laugh. They toast. A few tables over, Amanda's mother raises her glass before the server can even refill it. Gloria just watches, hands folded, posture perfect, like a woman who's heard people talk through her whole life. The wedding planner makes her way to the head table. She leans in, whispering something to Amanda, who nods and points toward table 14. The planner walks over, smiles tight. Hi there, Ms. Carter. Yes. Would you be comfortable speaking? Just a few words. Now. Yes. We realized we didn't formally include you in the speaking list, and you realized. Well, we'd love to give you a moment if you'd like. Gloria looks down at her hands, then stands. No rustle, no announcement, just a quiet rise that hushes the table. The mic is passed to her. She doesn't clear her throat, doesn't unfold a paper. She holds it like someone who's held more fragile things. She looks at her son, then at Amanda, then at no one, and speaks. When my son was born, I held him so close I forgot the world wasn't going to do the same. The room stills. I taught him how to tie his shoes, pack his bag, press his shirt, and choose his words. Not because boys should be tidy, but because black boys don't always get second chances. No one moves. I taught him how to speak gently, and how to leave a room without leaving behind his dignity. She glances toward Amanda's parents. Not long, just enough. So when he told me who he was marrying, I said, if she makes you feel like you don't have to shrink, then I will find my place beside her. She looks at Amanda, eyes soft, no bitterness, just precision. I hope you know what you're holding, because I do. She hands the mic back and walks to her seat. No applause, no clapping, just a kind of hush, the kind that follows truth when it's said without apology. Amanda doesn't look at her mother. Her mother doesn't look at anyone. Isaiah looks down, then up, and he smiles. Small, quiet, the kind that says, you saw what I couldn't say. Gloria picks up her water, takes a sip, and for the first time all day, she is no longer invisible. The day after the wedding, Gloria waters her plants. She doesn't look tired. She doesn't replay the speech, doesn't scroll for photos, doesn't check to see if her name was mentioned in any captions. She just waters her plants. Slow, measured, as if nothing had happened, or as if everything had, and she simply let it pass. The apartment is quiet, always is, but it doesn't feel empty. There's presence in the silence, like each piece of furniture has its own memory. The dining chairs that creak even after she retightened them. The floorboard near the sink that sighs when stepped on. The photograph above the hallway light switch, slightly tilted, always, no matter how many times she straightens it. That photo is where Isaiah learned to smile. Not from joy, from watching his mother survive with grace. Back then, Gloria worked 2 jobs. Secretary at a community legal clinic by day, home health aide by night. She moved through rooms where people talked over her, where black women were called sweetheart by men who wouldn't remember their names tomorrow, where people assumed she didn't understand what was being said, and then looked shocked when she corrected their grammar. She never raised her voice, not once. She just remembered, who looked her in the eye, who said thank you, who asked questions with real listening in them. When Isaiah started school, she eyed his uniform every night, not because the teachers asked, but because she knew. They will already be looking for a reason to think you're less. Don't let the wrinkles be the reason. When he was 10, he came home and asked why people looked at them funny in the store. Gloria didn't give him a speech. She made him a sandwich, sat beside him, and said, Some people only know how to see power when it's loud. That's not your fault, but it is your inheritance. She raised him to walk with posture, to speak with clarity, to listen for what wasn't being said, to leave no crumbs when he left a room, emotionally or physically, because black boys don't get to be messy, not if they want to be free. She remembers the first time Amanda came over. Nice girl, smart, kind enough, but light, like a breeze that didn't quite settle. She complimented the furniture. It's very vintage. She said Gloria looked so young, with the tone that made it sound like a compliment to be mistaken for someone else. She touched Gloria's shoulder once, and Gloria felt it. The kind of touch people give to objects they don't expect to encounter again. Polite, disconnected. But Gloria never interfered. She never warned her son, because love is something people must learn for themselves. And sometimes, the lesson comes wrapped in celebration, with lace, and champagne, and a room full of people who still don't look you in the eye. Gloria doesn't talk about the time Amanda's mother visited, how she arrived in a cream blazer, 3 rings on each hand, and a voice sharp enough to cut through air, how she never sat down, just hovered, commented, asked no questions, how she called her husband dear, but corrected him in every sentence, how, when introduced to Gloria, she smiled without baring her teeth and said, "So good to finally meet Isaiah's support system." Not mother, not parent, not foundation. Support system, like a scaffold, like something temporary, meant to hold, not belong. Gloria shook her hand, offered tea, watched her barely sip it, and never invited her again. So at the wedding, when no one said her name, when no one saved her a seat, when no one handed her the mic, Gloria wasn't surprised. She had already lived in that room 100 times. She doesn't tell Isaiah any of this, not because he couldn't handle it, but because she knows. He already felt it. He just didn't want it to be true. And that's the hardest part of love, knowing when someone is choosing silence, not because they're unaware, but because they're tired of always being the one to name the harm. After the wedding, Amanda sends a text. Simple. "Thank you for speaking." Gloria doesn't reply. Not because she's angry, but because that text isn't a thank you. It's a loose end. And Gloria has never once left a room with her dignity trailing. Instead, she opens a drawer in her kitchen, takes out a small notebook. The cover is worn, pages uneven, pen marks in every corner. It's not a journal. It's a ledger of memory. She flips to a fresh page, writes only one sentence, spoke without being asked, and they listened, even when they didn't clap. Then closes the book, returns it to its place, and starts her tea. She doesn't need applause. She doesn't need to be asked back. She stood once, and that was more than enough. His name is Marcus. He's 27, assistant event coordinator. Wears black slacks, black tie, black shoes that pinch his feet by the 4th hour. He's been working weddings for 3 years. He's seen all kinds. Groomsmen who sneak shots before vows, mothers of the bride who treat planners like furniture, flower girls who cry all the way down the aisle, then smile in the photos. He doesn't expect much anymore. He keeps things moving. That's his job. Polite, efficient, invisible. And if something goes wrong, he fixes it before the couple knows. When Gloria arrived, Marcus clocked her immediately. Not because she stood out, because no one else looked at her. That's how you notice people like her. The ones who carry themselves like history, but get treated like static. She didn't ask for help, didn't wait to be directed. She moved like someone who knew the layout of the room before she entered it. He watched as the valet barely glanced at her, as the planner forgot to introduce her, as the seating chart stuck her behind a column like a mistake that couldn't be erased. He saw her pull out a small cloth and wipe the edge of her own glass before using it. That detail stayed with him, not because it was strange, but because it was precise. It was a gesture his grandmother used to do, a small way of saying, "I know how the world forgets me, but I remember myself." Marcus didn't speak to Gloria, didn't offer to move her seat, didn't ask if she was okay. He told himself it wasn't his place, that the planner had made the call, that it wasn't his wedding. But all night he watched, not out of curiosity, out of awareness, Because something about her presence, steady, quiet, full, unsettled the rhythm of the room. Like she belonged more than anyone there, and was the only one not pretending. When she stood up to speak, Marcus was by the soundboard. He saw the photographer hesitate, saw Amanda's mother stiffen, saw the groom lift his eyes like a boy remembering something he thought he'd forgotten. Then Gloria spoke, and Marcus forgot to breathe. She didn't raise her voice, didn't demand space. She simply took it, and the room had no choice but to rearrange around her. Her voice wasn't loud. It was rooted, and Marcus felt it land in the back of his throat, not like a threat, but like a memory of his own mother, of women who cooked dinner in silence after being ignored all day, of women who held the church together without ever being named from the pulpit. After she sat down, Marcus didn't move for a long time. He just stood there and realized he hadn't seen someone hold a room like that before, not without a mic, not without title, not without volume, just presence. After the wedding, while others cleared tables, he asked the planner, "Did she get a thank you from the family?" The planner shrugged. "I think someone sent her a text." Marcus said nothing, but inside something clicked. He went home that night to his shared apartment, sat on the floor, opened a journal he rarely touched, and wrote, "A woman spoke tonight like she had already survived the apology, and no one in that room will forget her, even if they try." The next weekend, he worked another wedding. Different venue, different couple, same system. A black grandmother was asked to stand in the back for group photos because her dress clashed. Marcus stepped forward. "She's family. She belongs center." The planner shot him a look, but didn't argue, and the photographer adjusted without question. Afterward, the grandmother walked up to him, didn't ask who he was, just said, "You saw me," and walked on. That's all she needed. That's all Marcus needed too. He started noticing things differently after that. Who got handed the mic? Who got thanked first? Who never got introduced, just labeled? He didn't speak up every time, but he started documenting it. Not for justice, for memory. Months later, he was offered a bigger role, assistant director for a high-end wedding company downtown. More money, more pressure. On the application form, under "Why do you do this work?" he didn't write logistics. He wrote, "Because no one forgets the moment they were finally seen." He got the job. He still thinks about Gloria, not because she did something dramatic, but because she didn't have to. And somehow, that changed the way he moved through every room since. He never got her number, never learned what she did for work, never saw her again, but he started carrying a small white cloth in his jacket pocket, not for glassware, for remembering. The wedding photos arrived 2 weeks later. Digital folder, clean design, password protected, each album named like a chapter. Getting ready. The ceremony. The toasts. Moments. Amanda opens the link in bed, wrapped in her robe. Isaiah is still asleep beside her, one arm over his eyes. She clicks slowly, smiling as she scrolls. Then she reaches the reception folder, pauses, and feels something strange. There's no photo of Gloria at the head table. None in the pre-ceremony shots. None of her being greeted by Amanda's parents. None of her sitting near the front. The only clear image? Gloria, alone at table 14. Hands folded, back straight, eyes watching something outside the frame. Amanda stares at the image for a full minute. Not because it's dramatic. Because it isn't. It's real. Undeniable. She closes the laptop. Doesn't speak. Later, when Isaiah wakes, she doesn't show him the album right away. She just says, "Did we forget to ask your mom where she wanted to sit?" He blinks, then exhales. "We didn't forget. We just didn't ask." Amanda's mother calls the next day. "The photos are lovely, aren't they? The florist really pulled off that centerpiece plan I sent." Amanda is quiet. "Do we have any of Isaiah's mom?" "Oh, I'm sure we do. She wasn't around much, was she?" "She was there the whole time." Silence. "Right. Well, you know how reserved she is. I'm sure she didn't mind the corner seat." Amanda doesn't reply, and her mother doesn't notice. That something is shifting. That night, Amanda watches the video of the speeches. The shaky iPhone recording from a cousin. Voices layered with clinks and soft laughter. She skips the toasts she already knows by heart. Then finds Gloria's moment. It's shorter than she remembers. No crescendo. No mic drop. Just stillness. Words said without defense. Without rehearsal. But the room? Still. Held. And when the camera pans across the guests, Amanda sees it. Her mother. Not looking at Gloria. Not clapping. Not even blinking. Just still. Like someone afraid of being seen too clearly. Amanda sets the phone down and realizes that moment didn't pass. It stayed. Inside her. Quiet. Growing. Later that week, Amanda meets her mother for lunch. They sit on a patio with olive trees and planters and overpriced sparkling water. Her mother talks about the brunch she's planning, about work drama, about a new skincare serum. Then she asks, "So honeymoon next?" Amanda shrugs. "We're thinking fall. Work's intense." Her mother nods, then adds, "I know planning was stressful, but I think we really pulled it off, don't you?" Amanda folds her napkin slowly. No, it looked perfect, but it wasn't right." Her mother blinks. "Darling, what are you? You didn't speak to Gloria." Well, there wasn't time. You had 3 days. You didn't say her name once. You didn't ask how she was getting home. You didn't even thank her." "Amanda, I think you're being a little dramatic." Amanda leans forward. "No, I think I'm being honest." The table feels colder. The waiter arrives to take their orders. They both wave him off. Amanda's mother stirs her drink. Well, maybe she prefers distance. Amanda shakes her head. She prefers dignity. And you gave her neither. That night, Amanda doesn't tell Isaiah about the conversation. Not because she's hiding it, but because she knows he already feels it. She finds him at the kitchen counter, washing dishes slowly. He doesn't look up when he says, "She's not coming to Thanksgiving." Amanda sets down the glass she's holding. Did she say that? No. Then how do you know? He finally looks at her. And that look, it breaks something small. Because I know what it means to be invited late. Or not at all. Amanda wants to respond. But can't. Because everything she could say would feel like excuse. And Gloria never gave excuses. Only truth. 2 weeks later, Amanda writes a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A letter. She rewrites it 3 times. Then sends it. Short. Real. Careful. "Mrs. Carter, I saw the photo of you at the wedding. And I saw what I didn't say. I should have walked toward you. And I didn't. But I'm walking now. I hope you'll let me try again. Amanda." Gloria receives it on a Thursday. Reads in silence. She doesn't smile. But she folds the letter neatly. Places it in the back of her notebook. Next to the line she wrote after the wedding. Spoke without being asked. And they listened, even when they didn't clap. She adds a new line beneath it. Sometimes the echo takes weeks. Sometimes it still returns. Then she boils water for tea. Amanda's mother never writes. Never calls. But she does receive something. A printed copy of the speech, from the wedding videographer's transcript. Amanda mails it, without a note. Just the words. Clean. Untouched. For her to sit with. Or ignore. But it's hers now. And so is the stillness it left behind. Gloria doesn't change her number. She doesn't block Amanda. Doesn't ignore the letter. Doesn't write back. But she does something else. Something she hasn't done in almost a year. She answers when someone calls her Mrs. Carter and doesn't correct them. Because she's not interested in being right anymore. She's interested in being seen whole. Even if it takes others time to catch up. The first invitation arrives 2 months after the wedding. An engagement party. Amanda's cousin. Big family event. Different venue. Different crowd. Amanda texts. "I know it's not ideal. But I'd love for you to come. Even just for a bit." Gloria reads the message. Leaves it unread for 3 hours. Then replies. "I'll let you know." But she already knows. She's going. The dress she picks isn't new. It's one she wore to a concert years ago. Dark blue. Flowy. Sharp neckline. She pairs it with silver earrings, the ones Isaiah gave her after his first internship paycheck. She wears her hair down this time, not out of vanity, out of certainty. When she walks into the venue, the first person who sees her is Marcus. Yes, that Marcus. He's on a different contract now. Same eyes, different posture. He recognizes her instantly. He walks over, not quickly, but directly. Mrs. Carter. She looks up, smiles slightly. Nice to see someone who notices. He gestures to the seating chart. You're at table 2, right next to the couple. You were listed specifically. Gloria nods. Thank you. Then walks on. At table 2, Amanda is already seated. She stands when Gloria approaches. Not to hug, just to acknowledge. Thank you for coming. Thank you for asking. They don't say more, but Amanda pulls out the chair herself. This time, there's no mic, no formal speeches, just mingling, music, laughter that floats, not bites. But Gloria's presence hums beneath it all. Not loud, not forced, just undeniable. A woman leans toward her halfway through the meal. Older, white, kind eyes, soft voice. You're Isaiah's mom, right? I am. He talks about you like a lighthouse. Gloria blinks once. Then I must still be standing. They clink glasses gently. At dessert, Amanda leans over. Would you consider Sunday dinner? Just us 3. Gloria tilts her head. You cooking? Amanda laughs. Trying. Then I'll bring cornbread. They smile. Something shifts. Not fixed, but acknowledged. Back at home, Gloria opens her notebook. She flips past the old lines. The pain, the waiting, the clarity, and she writes a new one. Didn't wait for the mic this time. Just walked in, and they made space. Then closes it, places it on the windowsill, lets the light hit the cover like a quiet crown. Sunday comes. Amanda burns the beans. Isaiah forgets to pick up the sparkling cider. The kitchen is too small. The table wobbles. It's perfect. Gloria sits between them. She doesn't say much, just watches. And in one small moment, when Amanda spills a little sauce and apologizes too fast, Gloria places a hand on her wrist. No one's asking you to get it all right, just to stay long enough to try again. Amanda nods and says the words she never said at the wedding. I'm glad you're here. It's not a grand gesture. It's a seat, one chair closer than before. But Gloria knows. That's how history changes. One small decision, one meal, one woman who stopped waiting to be welcomed and simply sat down. The next time Amanda hosts a dinner, she does something small. She texts Gloria ahead of time. Let me know if there's a song you want played during dessert. It seems casual, but Gloria knows better. She replies, Al Green. Simply beautiful. That Sunday, the song plays low under the clink of forks and ice in glasses. Isaiah doesn't say anything, just smiles without looking up from his plate. Amanda refills Gloria's water without asking. And for the first time, the conversation moves around Gloria, not past her. A week later, Amanda's mother calls. It's late. Unexpected. She asks about Isaiah's schedule, then pivots. How's your mother-in-law? Amanda pauses. The question isn't warm, but it's something. She's fine. We had dinner again last weekend. Oh, you're seeing her often now. Amanda keeps her voice steady. She's part of my family. Always was. A long pause. Well, her mother says. That's good. That's responsible. Amanda almost corrects her. Almost says. It's not about responsibility. It's about finally seeing what I ignored. But she doesn't. Because this moment isn't for confrontation. It's for the quiet shift. Later that month, Amanda's father reaches out to Isaiah. An email. Brief. Formal. Clumsy. I realize we didn't connect much during the wedding week. Would like to change that. Lunch sometime. Isaiah stares at the screen. Then closes the laptop. Doesn't respond. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. Because some bridges don't need to be burned. They just don't need to be crossed anymore. At work, Amanda brings up Gloria during a team discussion on community projects. Her co-workers blink. Your mother-in-law? Yes. She used to work at a community legal clinic. Helped a lot of people no one remembers. The conversation pauses. Then someone says, "You should ask her to speak at the equity series." Amanda nods. And for the first time, it's not about diversity. It's about wisdom. She calls Gloria that evening. "I want people to hear you." "Why now?" "Because I listened too late. And I'm trying not to be last again." Gloria doesn't say yes. But she doesn't say no. Marcus hears about it. He's now managing his own event team. He reads the internal memo and sees Gloria's name on the guest speaker list. He texts a colleague. She doesn't raise her voice, so make sure the mic is turned up. She won't repeat herself. On the day of the talk, Gloria arrives early. She doesn't bring notes. Just herself. She walks past interns, managers, and senior staff. They don't know who she is yet, but they will. The woman greeting speakers smiles brightly. "Are you here to observe?" "I'm here to speak." "Oh, of course. I didn't realize. Let me take you to the green room." She opens the door. Gloria steps through. The room stills slightly. Not because she's famous, but because something about her walk says, "I've been here before." She speaks for 18 minutes. No PowerPoint. No script. She tells one story. A girl she once helped leave a dangerous situation, not with legal advice, but with bus fare and a quiet place to wait until the sun rose. Then she ends with a sentence. "We don't all need to be heard, but we all need to be held by attention, by memory, by something larger than apology." The room doesn't clap right away. Not because it wasn't powerful, but because no one wants to be the first to break the stillness. That night, Marcus walks past her in the hallway. They nod. Don't speak, because some gratitude doesn't need to be said. It just needs to be carried. Meanwhile, Amanda's cousin, the one whose engagement party Gloria attended, sends her a message. "Hey, was that your husband's mom who stood up at the wedding? My friend still talks about that speech. Said it's the only wedding moment she remembers clearly." Amanda replies, "Yeah, that was her. She needs to write a book." Amanda stares at the message, then forwards it to Gloria with just one line. They're listening. Later that week, Gloria visits her church. Same pew, same coat, same quiet entrance. But something feels different. A young woman approaches after service. Shy, clutching a notebook. "You spoke at my internship office." "I remember." "You didn't say much, but it stuck." Gloria nods. That's what truth does. It doesn't ask permission. They stand in silence. Then the girl asks, "Can I walk with you to the corner?" Of course. And they do. Two women. Different seasons. Same walk. Amanda's mother still hosts brunches. Still wears cream blazers and says things like, "How elegant." But now, when someone mentions Gloria, she nods with pause. Doesn't smile too fast. Doesn't change the subject. Because even she knows. There are some names you shouldn't say lightly, even if you used to. Gloria doesn't ask for any of this. Doesn't announce it. But she notices. The longer eye contact. The invitations without footnotes. The way people pause before speaking. Like her presence requires accuracy. And maybe that's the win. Not revenge. Not vindication. But a room that's finally careful with the truth. Because she's sitting in it. 3 months later, Gloria gets another letter. Handwritten. Blue ink. No return address. Inside. "You probably don't remember me. I sat near you at Amanda's cousin's party. I was the woman in the red scarf. I heard your speech at the wedding. I didn't know how to thank you at the time. But I started therapy the next week. Because I realized I was still waiting for someone to hand me a microphone. When I could have stood up years ago." No signature. Just a PS. Still standing. Gloria folds the letter once. Tucks it into the back of her notebook. Doesn't cry. Just smiles the way you do when something heavy finally shifts off your ribs. At the same time, Marcus, now running his own events team, changes his onboarding process. He adds a line to every training packet. The most important person in the room might be the one you assume is least important. Treat everyone like they're carrying a story you don't have the right to judge. No one questions it. And within months, the staff turnover rate drops by a third. Because it turns out, respect before recognition changes how people stay. Amanda, meanwhile, starts hosting small dinners at her apartment. Nothing fancy. No seating charts. Just friends, neighbors, strangers who become familiar by dessert. At the first one, she catches herself, almost steering conversations away from uncomfortable topics. Then she stops, lets them breathe, lets people name themselves. Because she remembers. Gloria didn't demand a place. She built it, standing still. One night, after a small dinner, Amanda finds a note folded into her coat pocket, written in messy ballpoint. Thanks for not assuming. She doesn't know who wrote it. She doesn't need to. Because that's the ripple. When dignity becomes something contagious, not announced, just absorbed. At work, Amanda's boss asks if she knows anyone for a mentorship program, preferably someone who understands what real community looks like. She recommends Gloria, without hesitation, without footnotes. The mentorship session is small, 6 women, different ages, different backgrounds, same hunger. Gloria doesn't bring handouts. She brings one sentence. The room doesn't owe you comfort, but it does owe you accuracy. Don't leave until you're seen right. They write it down. Every word. Not because she shouts it, because she says it like someone who already survived the forgetting. One of the women, Nia, starts a blog after that session. A year later, it's cited in a national piece about new leadership models. In the article, Nia says, I met a woman who taught me you don't change a room by asking louder. You change it by refusing to disappear. They don't mention Gloria by name, but her words outlive the room anyway. Meanwhile, Isaiah changes too. Not drastically, not all at once, but slowly. He stops second-guessing when he corrects someone pronouncing his name wrong. He stops laughing politely when clients make jokes about where he grew up. He holds his space. Not by force, by default. One night, after a long shift, Isaiah sits with Amanda on their tiny balcony. City lights blur. Buses sigh past. He says, I think I used to believe you had to earn being seen. Amanda leans into his shoulder. You don't. He smiles. I know. Because she didn't wait for permission. She just stood. And somehow, the room caught up. Meanwhile, across town, Gloria tends to her plants. The same ones. Same window. But now there's a small difference. A new pot on the sill. A gift from the girl who walked her to the corner after church. Painted messy. Bright. Across the front. Still standing. Gloria waters them as always. But when she sits back with her coffee, she notices the light falls different now. Not brighter. Just more deliberate. Like even the sun has stopped assuming which rooms matter. At a bookstore 2 neighborhoods over, a manager organizes a panel discussion. Voices we should have heard sooner. He writes an email. Adds a name to the invite list. Ms. Gloria Carter. She doesn't say yes immediately. When she does, it's with a single condition. No pedestal. Just a chair like everyone else. That night, Isaiah calls her. You ready for a crowd? Gloria laughs. Baby, I've been ready my whole life. They're just finally arriving. At the panel, she wears the same silver earrings. Sits dead center, not on stage. Just among. When the moderator asks how she finds the courage to speak, she answers. Courage isn't speaking when you're unafraid. It's speaking when you know they'll listen too late. And speaking anyway. The room hushes. No hashtags. No standing ovation. Just a pause. The kind that feels like a held breath, finally released. Amanda watches from the back. Not proud. Just grateful. Because now, when she walks into a room, she carries Gloria's stillness like armor. And so does Isaiah. And Marcus. And Nia. And the girl in the red scarf. None of them needed a grand lesson. They just needed to feel the weight of someone who refused to fold. And once you feel it, you can't forget it. You can't go back to pretending the room is complete without them. The church is half full. Not a service. Just a quiet gathering. Afternoon light leaking through stained glass, like memory through time. It's a community story circle. People come to speak. Some read. Some just sit. The chairs are plastic, the coffee is weak, and the voices are real. At the center, Gloria sits. Same posture. Same calm. But something about her presence now. It's not waiting anymore. It's anchored. She doesn't speak first. She listens. An older man talks about losing his brother and how no one said his name at the funeral. A teenage girl reads a poem about being told her hair was distracting. A young father admits he's afraid his daughter will inherit his silence. Gloria listens to them all. No nodding, no reaction, just full attention, the kind that makes people straighten their spine mid-sentence. When her turn comes, she stands slowly, walks to the mic, waits a beat longer than most would, then says, "I spent most of my life being asked to wait. Wait to speak. Wait to be noticed. Wait to be invited." She pauses. But waiting taught me something. It taught me how to enter a room, even when the room thinks it's full. She doesn't elaborate. She doesn't have to. She returns to her seat, and the woman beside her, who doesn't know her name, reaches over, just holds her hand. That night, Isaiah calls. "Hey, Ma. I saw a video of your talk." Someone posted it. It's floating around. Even Marcus shared it." Gloria laughs softly. "People love a good story they didn't have to write. Yours changed a lot of us." She exhales. "Then maybe I was loud enough after all." In her apartment, the walls haven't changed. Same chipped frame. Same creaky chair. Same plants, slightly overwatered this week. But something's different. The air. The space between things. It doesn't feel forgotten anymore. It feels full. Held. The next Sunday, she's invited to a brunch. Small. Local. Just neighbors. The kind she used to avoid. Too much pretending. Not enough room. This time she goes. Not because she's curious. Because she belongs before she arrives now. When she walks in, a woman near the coffee station waves her over. "Ms. Carter, we saved you a seat. You didn't need to. We wanted to." Simple words. But Gloria hears what's underneath them. She takes the seat. Not at the head. Not in the back. Just where it makes sense now. After they eat, someone asks her a question. "How do you stay so composed?" She smiles. You confuse composure with having already paid the price. They go quiet. Then someone laughs. Not at her, but beside her. And the conversation moves on. But the space stays altered. Later, walking home, Gloria takes the long way. Through the park. Past the bus stop, where she once waited at 4:45 a.m. to get to work. Past the bench where she told Isaiah he'd have to fight harder just to be heard fairly. She stops. Sits on that bench. The sun is slow today. She watches a boy ride a bike too big for him. A girl try to climb a tree and fall laughing. A woman in scrubs sit down nearby and take her shoes off for 5 whole minutes. No one looks at Gloria, and she feels no need to be looked at, because she isn't outside the story anymore. She's inside it. Back home, she opens her notebook one last time, finds the last blank page, writes carefully. The silence didn't break. It opened, and inside it I found space. Then closes the book, not because the story is done, but because it no longer needs recording. 1 week later, Amanda hosts another dinner. Smaller, simpler, but when Gloria walks in, there's something new at her place setting. A name card. Not printed. Not scripted. Just handwritten. Gloria. And below it, in tiny print, "We see you." She doesn't mention it, but she places the card into her bag, next to her wallet, next to the letter Amanda sent all those months ago. That night, after the dishes are done, Amanda hugs her. Not out of obligation, out of recognition. Isaiah watches from the kitchen. He doesn't say anything, but his face says everything. And Gloria knows. This isn't a full circle. It's a new start, one that began the moment she stopped waiting, and stood anyway. Gloria, on her porch the next morning, cup of coffee in hand, notebook closed beside her, sun warming her shoulder. She doesn't wave, doesn't perform. She just sits, still, visible, unmoved by what once overlooked her. And the world, finally, sees her there.